Ray Brown's Talking Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com. By Feather Snap, the smart bird feeder with a high-resolution camera and species identification software aimed to educate and spread joy to every level of avian enthusiast. Learn more at feathersnapcam.com.
And by Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty, their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, and welcome to our show number 1014. We shared a story here a few months ago about a Washington State man who conspired to hunt and kill bald and golden eagles and other raptors in Montana to sell on the black market. He made a lot of money doing it, but he was finally caught and charged and convicted and has now been sentenced to 3 years and 10 months in prison, to be followed by 3 years of supervised release, and he's been ordered to pay nearly $750,000 in restitution, which gives you an idea of how much he made with the scheme. The defendant, Travis John Branson, pled guilty in March to conspiracy, unlawful trafficking of bald and golden eagles, in violation of the Lacey Act, which prohibits certain interstate wildlife trade. His alleged accomplice, Simon Paul of St. Ignatius, Montana, failed to appear at his scheduled arraignment and is currently a fugitive. Talking Birds contributor and ambassador Dr. Jim Randolph alerted us to this latest development and is following the story. Thank you, Jim. It's audio postcard time, and this time we're flashing back to, I think, late October, when Gordon and Lori Lamb watched and listened to some cool birds heading south through the Grand Canyon State. Hi, guys.
Hey there, Ray.
Ray.
This is Gordon and Lori, and we are over at the Twin Lakes Golf Course in Wilcox, Arizona. And it seems that the cranes, which usually come a little bit later, sometime in November, have come a little bit earlier this year. So there's this pond we're looking at right now. I'll just be quiet for a moment. And of course, that's the time they decided to be quiet. But there's about 1,500 to 2,000 Sandhill Cranes right beside us in this little pond. It's such a cool little purring sound. Anyway, have a great day, folks. Happy birding. Bye.
Bye, Ray.
Thanks, Gordon and Lori, with that audio postcard with those Sandhill Cranes. We love to get audio postcards from just about anywhere. No, not just about. I mean from anywhere, wherever you're looking at or listening to birds, including your backyard. And if you'd like to make an audio postcard, just grab a smartphone or other recording device like that and just to do a little recording, 30 seconds to maybe a minute, and then to just send the resulting file over here to ray@talkingbirds.com, ray@talkingbirds.com, and as you know...
There's no G in talking.
Exactly. Conservation news today. The Global Plastics Treaty in Busan, South Korea, is wrapping up with nations around the world offering very different ideas on what should be done about the worldwide plastic pollution crisis, with countries like Norway, the UK, and Rwanda pushing for a high-ambition treaty to regulate dangerous chemicals and phase out the most polluting single-use plastic products like plastic knives and forks and spoons, while big oil producers like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Russia have expressed a very different view. In terms of what we're up against, consider this. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, plastic production will jump about 60% to 736 million tons a year by 2040. Next week, we'll have some good conservation news. What we have now is the mystery bird preview. Mystery Bird Contest preview. I guess I should say you're listening to the Mystery Bird there. It's a very large shorebird. It's buffy brown with a plain crown and has a very long, slender, down-curved bill, specially adapted for capturing shrimp and crabs in deep burrows in tidal mudflats. In the U.S., our bird breeds in the grasslands of the west and northwest and is seen in the southern parts of the east and west coasts and the Gulf Coast in winter. That's our Mystery Bird. The contest coming along a little bit later. We have beautiful prizes, as always, plus eligibility for a very, very special extra prize that we'll be awarding next week. If you win the contest today, you'll be in the drawing for that very special prize. And this morning, a big bag of our favorite coffee, Birds and Beans, is among the prizes, plus a one-year subscription to the new birding magazine BWD, founded in 1978 as Birdwatcher's Digest, and now back in better than ever. That's on our Mystery Bird contest coming up. Our Talking Birds ambassadors, folks who help us spread the word about the show and about birds and conservation, are the royalty of our Talking Birds listening audience. And we want to say thank you to two more ambassadors. Pat Bork from East Hampstead, New Hampshire. Thank you, Pat. And Jim D'Onofrio from Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Thank you, Jim, for becoming a Talking Birds ambassador. Very easy to do. We'll explain how in a minute. And we always talk about how easy it is to become an ambassador and to be one. But if you don't want to take my word for it, take the word instead of an actual ambassador.
My name is Bridget O'Riordan, and I am calling from Columbus, Ohio. I became a Talking Birds ambassador because I am very passionate about spreading awareness of a lot of the topics that Ray talks about. Being a Talking Birds ambassador is incredibly easy. You go to the website, you sign up, and you get correspondence from Ray, a nice little personalized letter, and all of your cards. You do not have to get up off your couch. You can do that on your phone in 2 seconds flat. It is very easy. And then you have that option to be able to give those cards out and to be able to say, hey, I am an ambassador. It's so easy. Just do it.
So easy, just do it. And she is right. Thank you, Bridget. Yeah, to do it, just go to talkingbirds.com and click on the Get Involved tab up at the top of the homepage and join the more than 900 Talking Birds listeners who have become part of the Ambassadors family. Again, that's the Get Involved tab up at the top of the homepage, talkingbirds.com. Still to come today, optics expert Donald Ditzenberger will be here with some good advice on how to choose binoculars and spotting scopes for holiday giving or any time. Also today, Mike O'Connor will join us for Let's Ask Mike Live, kind of also on the topic of holiday gift suggestions, and sort of based on customer preferences and not necessarily his. And up next, we'll follow up Mike's appearance of last week for today's Featured Feathered Friends segment. On last week's show, number 1013, easily found at talkingbirds.com and through most podcast providers, our Mike O'Connor talked about Cooper's hawks. And we figured we'd expand a bit today on that hawk talk. The adult Cooper's is a medium-sized hawk with a dark blue-gray back, and its white underparts have fine rusty barring. The cap is darker than the back and the relatively short, rounded wings. The eyes are red, and the long, rounded tail has subdued black and white banding. Sexes are similar, and juveniles have a brown back, brown streaked breast and belly, and yellow eyes. The Cooper's hawk, like its accipiter cousin, the sharp-shinned, is a bane of feeder birds, although the Cooper's tends to favor somewhat larger species like mourning doves, rock pigeons, northern flicker, quail, and chickens. The Cooper's hawk's typical method is to perch and wait and swoop down to seize its victims, although it sometimes also pursues prey on the ground. The Cooper's is a North American native hawk found from southern Canada to northern Mexico in mixed deciduous forests, as well as small woodlots, piney woods, and mountainous forest areas. Some migrate as far south as Costa Rica and Panama for the winter. Crashing through trees and bushes in pursuit of prey can be tough on Cooper's hawks. The Cornell lab points to a study in which nearly a quarter of skeletons examined showed healed-over fractures in the bones of their chests. But the species is thriving in a big turnaround from a few decades ago when the use of the pesticide DDT and extensive shooting greatly reduced their numbers. Populations have rebounded and increased, and the Cooper's is listed at a low level of conservation concern. Accipiter cooperii seems to be the most widely accepted pronunciation of the scientific name of today's featured feathered friend, the Cooper's hawk. Welcome again to our show number 1014. Well, in case you've been thinking about buying a pair of binoculars or a spotting scope as a gift this holiday season, or for yourself because you've been so good this year, we decided to seek out some expert advice on the topic. Some of our Talking Birds volunteers out at the San Diego Birding Festival last winter said that Donald Ditzenberger from Vortex Optics, where he's manager of all the birding and conservation-based accounts, gave them some excellent optics advice. So we've invited him here to offer such advice to a wider audience, and he's joining us right now. Good morning, Donald.
Hey, Ray. Good to see you.
Good to see you. And some folks, Donald, say that when you're buying binoculars, the general rule is to buy the best you can afford so that you won't have to buy another pair in a few years. Is that a good rule, or still a good rule, an oversimplification, or what?
Oh, absolutely. I would 100% agree with that. And I think anybody in the optics community or optics world would agree with that too. You'd always like to aim to buy exactly once and never buy again, or buy as few times as possible. Mm-hmm. For instance, I've gone to a number of shows and festivals these last few years, and occasionally I'll see the same customers that I had just sold a pair of binoculars to the previous year, and they come up to me to purchase the next step up, right, an upgrade from what they got the last year, which is great for me, of course, because I managed to get another sale out of it, right? But they could have skipped that altogether and just gotten the nicer pair to begin with. In the long run, it will save you a lot of money. It'll just create a better experience overall, because then you have that nicer pair of binoculars to begin with. And ideally, you won't feel the need to upgrade year after year.
Maybe this is the software update phenomenon going on here.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing, with things like optics, they're not getting upgraded every year, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's a huge difference in optics now compared to optics 15 or 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. But it's not something that you need to upgrade every single year. In fact, some people still have optics from 20 years or 30 years ago that still hold up incredibly well. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely not something that you need to continuously be upgrading.
Well, people's eyes glaze over in many cases when they start thinking about 8 by 42 versus 10 by 42 and 10 by 50 and so on. Some say 8 by 42 is the best for birding. How do we sort all that out?
Yeah, it's definitely overwhelming when people throw a bunch of numbers at you, like you said, 8 by 32, 10 by 50, all these different things. So just to break it down, those two numbers are incredibly important, of course. The first number, so for instance, we'll take an 8 by 42, like you said. The first number is always going to be the magnification. So 8 times magnification. Magnification is obviously important because that dictates how close of an image you're going to be seeing. There's pros and cons to lower and higher magnification, as with anything. With lower magnification, like in 8 times, you get a nice wide field of view. So a larger image overall, and it's also easier to keep the image stable when you're using a pair of binoculars. With higher magnification, of course, you're going to get a closer image, but the field of view is going to be much more constrained, and it's also going to be a lot more difficult to keep the image steady. So most people are going to stick with 8 times magnification or 10 times magnification. For me personally, I can't go any higher than 10 times magnification because then it's just far too difficult to keep the image stable as I'm out and about. The second number is the size of the objective lens in millimeters. So the objective lens being the lens facing away from you. So in 8x42, that's 8 times magnification, and that's a 42 millimeter objective lens. So that number is also important because that tells you how much light can be absorbed into the optic. Usually all the time, the larger the objective lens, the more light is going to be brought in, which sounds like a great thing, but again, there's pros and cons to it, right? The larger the objective lens, the larger the overall optic is going to be. It's going to drastically increase or decrease the size and weight of the binoculars.
So for eyeglass wearers, I've heard it said that 8 power is better for folks who wear glasses. True?
Most of the time, magnification is not going to have a huge impact on the accessibility for people with glasses. What you are looking for is a long eye relief. And eye relief is the distance between the lens and where the light actually refracts to. So for people like glasses, like me and like yourself, we need that number, that eye relief, to be nice and long. So most optics companies are going to post that on their website. They're going to say, hey, this pair of binoculars has an 18 millimeter eye relief. This one has a 16 millimeter eye relief. You want to aim for the longest eye relief as possible if you have glasses. But there's also one thing to keep in mind. All optics companies measure eye relief differently. So you can really take that number with a grain of salt. The best thing that you can do is test it out for yourself. Optics are always something that you need to have a nice balance of online research and actually testing them out for yourself, because you never know what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you until you test it out.
Just a little time for something about spotting scopes here. And one thing is, if budget is a big issue, as it is for so many folks, is it worth considering buying a higher quality pair of binoculars, rather than getting binoculars and a spotting scope?
Well, I would always recommend getting the nicest binoculars as possible, simply because that is the core of your birding kit, really. Binoculars are much more versatile than any spotting scope ever will be. So I think it's always important to focus on the binoculars first, and then later down the line, perhaps investing in a spotting scope. But it also depends on if you actually need it. If you do a lot of shorebird watching and hawk watching, that's when a spotting scope would be much more important to have, because you're looking at much further distances than most other times that you're out and about.
If you can give us this in 30 seconds, angled eyepiece versus straight.
Easy, always angled. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to train yourself how to use it, but it is so much easier to use with a group. If you're only out on your own, every single time completely alone, then a straight is totally fine. But if you're with multiple people, just with differing heights, an angled spotting scope is always going to work better.
Some good tips there for someone special on your gift list, even if that someone is you. Thanks to Donald Ditzenberger from Vortex Optics and vortexoptics.com. Donald, thank you so much for those insights.
Thank you for having me, Ray.
Donald Ditzenberger here on Talking Birds. And up next, it's our Mystery Bird contest in just 1 minute. The flutter of a tail feather, the flash of a wing bar in mid-flight. You don't always have a lot of time to identify a bird in nature, let alone to appreciate its beauty. But with Vortex Optics, you'll have the power to bring every wild moment closer. When you choose Vortex, you're choosing to have a partner in the field as passionate about nature as you are. Whether you're spotting old friends on the backyard feeder or packing for a once-in-a-lifetime trip to add a few species to your life list, Vortex offers a full range of optics and optics accessories for every birder and every budget. And whether the birds are taking you to another state or another country, you're always covered by the Vortex VIP warranty, an unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. If you'd like to learn more, or if you need help choosing your next optic, give Vortex a call at 1-800-4VORTEX or visit vortexoptics.com. There's that mystery bird again. And this is the actual contest now, inviting you to call us at this number, 781-837-4900. Once again, that is 781-837-4900. Our mystery bird is a very large shorebird, buffy brown with a plain crown, and has a very long, slender, down-curved bill, specially adapted for capturing shrimp and crabs in deep burrows on tidal mudflats. In the U.S., our bird breeds in the grasslands of the west and northwest and is seen in the southern parts of the east and west coasts and the Gulf Coast in the winter. That's our mystery bird. A big bag of our favorite coffee, Birds and Beans, is a prize, as well as a 1-year subscription to the wonderful birding magazine, BWD. And today's winner will be eligible for the big drawing for a special optics prize from Vortex. We now can reveal that item, what that is, a Vortex HD Razor 8x42 binocular, which retails for about $800. If you win today's Mystery Bird contest, your name will be entered into that drawing. We'll announce the winner on next week's show. 781-837-4900 is the number for our Mystery Bird contest. And meanwhile, let's ask Mike live in just 1 minute.
Ready to take your backyard bird watching to the next level? FeatherSnap makes Wi-Fi-enabled smart bird feeders that blend the best of technology and nature. Get a high-def glimpse of your feathered friends with a top-of-the-line camera so every visitor can be seen with clarity and detail. A unique dual feeder bin helps attract more species, and built-in solar panels keep your camera's battery going strong. FeatherSnap's mobile app creates a truly immersive experience, allowing you to collect and organize your favorite pics and videos and earn badges along the way. FeatherSnap is a convenient and fun way to capture powerful images of your local birds and help get your friends and family excited about bird watching. Best of all, FeatherSnap offers expert-trained AI identification of more than 275 North American species, thanks to their in-house ornithologist. Check them out today at feathersnapcam.com. feathersnapcam.com.
Mike O'Connor is down there where he often is. That would be the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. As we get into the holiday season, Mike has some ideas for you. Let's see if I have this right. If you want to know what to get at the Birdwatchers store, ask Mike what he doesn't like. And is that misquoting you, Mike?
That's 100% right.
That's right. Okay. How does that?
First, I want to give a shout out to Emily from North Carolina, who swung by our store the other day and asked for me. And one of my hardworking employees was too lazy to go get me, so said I was busy. And so I never got to meet Emily, and I'm sorry.
You'll have to
next
visit
time I go
again,
to North
Emily.
Carolina, I'll look for you, Emily.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. When you go down there, so that might work out.
I'm going down there tomorrow, so I'll look for her.
All right. So books now, people want to get books. You don't, not necessarily the ones you like. Is that
right? The books I like are the ones like probably John Kreischer has a book on bird behavior, or the one that just came out from the Stokes, the Finch Guide. Yeah. It's kind of nerdy, but a lot of information. That's what I tend to like. And those, I stock the shelves with those, and nobody buys them. The books that people like, it turns out, and I'm kind of dopey at figuring this out, are the ones that have a little bit of a story, a little bit of an emotional appeal to them. And one of the more popular ones this season is Amy Tan's book. Amy Tan, who wrote the Joylark Club. She has a book called The Backyard Bird Chronicles, and it tells about a period in her life where she wasn't really happy about a lot of things in the world, and she spent more time focusing on birds. And she doesn't really need to know all the intricate things that some of the technical guys that I like find important. She just found birds cheer her up and they make her feel good. And so that book is very popular. The one, I think you had this author on, the slow birding lady, who wrote a book on just appreciating what's in your yard and just taking your time, not what a lot of people like me do, run around chasing unusual birds, but just enjoy what's in the backyard. And she wrote this book called Slow Birding, super popular, and again, not one that I would have thought was a big deal, and I was wrong, of course. And one that I really actually do like is called Birding Under the Influence, but I think a Massachusetts guy, Dorian Anderson.
Yeah, he was on the show with us a few months ago. He's pretty amazing. Yeah,
it was interesting how he wrote it. Again, I think he had some substance issues that he had to kind of kick, and he turned to birding and biking, and he biked across the country looking at birds. And a lot of these things, people say, oh, feeding the birds, you don't have to do it. They have all these whiny stories why you can't do that. They'll become dependent, all that nonsense. And it's not really always for the birds. It's for us. We really enjoy seeing them and them coming to our yards. And as you know, a lot of the times when you do the mystery contest, people don't really know all the birds, but they just enjoy them. And some of these books bring that up. So look for those books, or get one for your friend, or get one for yourself. Oh, the music playing! I gotta go. I gotta go see if Emily from North Carolina is back at my store.
All right, Mike. Thanks for all that help. Remember, if you go there to the store, don't ask Mike. I think that's how to remember that. Thank you, Mike.
That's right. Okay.
All right, Mike O'Connor at the famous Birdwatchers General Store on Cape Cod, and we're back here with, I think, as usual, just enough time for our mystery bird contest. Beautiful prizes, plus the eligibility for that very special Vortex HT Razor 8x42 binocular we'll give away next week. But meanwhile, we have Chris. It's early in Albion, California, that is, but not too early for Chris to be calling in here on the Mystery Bird Contest. Hello, Chris.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome.
Hi.
Good to hear from you from out there, a little early on the West Coast, but thanks for calling in. And you have a guest? Yes.
A faithful listener every Sunday. Get up early.
Thank you for that, Chris. And maybe we'll reward you with some prizes if you have the correct answer to our mystery bird here, that very large shorebird with the specialized bill and all that. What do you say that is there?
I think it's the long-billed curlew.
That's what it says here on the paper. Must be correct. Yeah. Absolutely right. Nice work. Nice work on that one there, Chris. Long-billed curlew is the answer. We looks like we're out of time here. So, Chris, if you'll stay on the line, Jesse will arrange those prizes and will make you eligible for that very special optics prize from Vortex next week. All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Great.
Chris out there in Albion, California, correctly identifying the long-billed curlew as our mystery bird. That has a lot of nicknames, including candlestick bird, a name that was copied for a spot from the bird on the California coast at San Francisco, Candlestick Point, known as a good spot for viewing long-billed curlews, if not as much as it used to be, while Candlestick Park was known as a not-so-good spot for watching baseball. The Giants moved away from there in 1999. And that about does it for our show this morning. Next week, our own Freya McGregor will be our guest, talking about some bird and birder-relating great work that she is doing, and she'll be with us on next week's show. Thanks to our amazing Talkin' Birds team, including Freya McGregor and Debbie Bleacher, and our producing engineer, Jesse Wilkins. I'm Ray Brown. See you next week.
The bird show. I like that. I love it.
Ray Brown's Talkin' Birds.
Made possible by the generous support of the Birdwatchers General Store, Orleans, Cape Cod. Birdwatchersgeneralstore.com. By Feathersnap, the smart bird feeder with a high-resolution camera and species identification software aimed to educate and spread joy to every level of avian enthusiast. Learn more at feathersnapcam.com.
And by Vortex Optics with the VIP warranty, their unlimited lifetime promise to keep you and your optic covered. Learn more at vortexoptics.com.